Hello and welcome to Baggies View. I'm Paul Bradley and I'm joined on the phone now by West Bromwich Albion correspondent Chris Lipkowski. Hi, Chris.
Hi.
I was talking about the relegation battle today. West Brom have been made about 7th favourites to go down this year. How fair do you think that is to West Bromwich Albion?
I think it's a brave person who can make any predictions at the moment. We can sort of go through all the potential scenarios and look at the fixtures, and I don't think anyone can say with any confidence who the bottom three will be. What is very clear is that Albion have got a tough April. They've got some difficult games coming up, and then they go into a final few weeks, sort of starting with the Villa game, where they might actually be expecting and wanting to get some points, but before then they've got to try and get something. I suspect the Sunderland game will be 1-0 target, the Villa game as I mentioned, but around that they've got Liverpool at home, Chelsea at home and Tottenham away, which are going to be three very difficult games. Liverpool one's coming up next. I suspect Roy Hodgson will, obviously that game will have extra significance for him, although knowing Roy from what I've met of him so far and what I've known of him so far, it is just going to be another game in which to try and get 3 points.
And how is Roy Hodgson keeping the mood in the camp at the moment? Because there's a lot of pressure on everybody involved at the club. Yeah. And he's going to have to raise the players for each game. And some of those games, like you mentioned, Liverpool, Chelsea, Spurs, they're really big games and really very tough games.
Well, he's being controlled about it because there's no point getting ridiculously optimistic after a 2-2 draw with Arsenal when, another 5 or 10 minutes and we might well have been talking about a defeat because of the way the game went. He's very measured about the way he goes about things. They're building up a little bit of steam at the moment. They're now, I think, 4 or 5 unbeaten. Although only one of those was a victory, you have to make some allowance for the fact that he is a new manager at the club. He's brought in his own ideas. He's brought in his own players in many ways, players who weren't in the squad before, like Mate, Carson, who was out of favour, Shorey, who was out of favour. And he has turned them around a little bit, and it'll be interesting to see how the next few weeks go in that respect. He's very confident. I think he's got confidence in his players. They need to cut out the mistakes at the back. They're still looking a little bit open now and again, a little bit laissez-faire, if you like, in terms of how they go about things and one or two of the errors that creep in. And if they can cut that out, they've got enough ammunition at the other end to trouble teams.
And can you give us just a very brief flavour of the mood in the camp at the moment as well? Is the squad together? Is it one that's got a lot of team spirits and it's the we're in this together type atmosphere? Absolutely.
And I think there was, looking back now and chatting to the players as we do, there seems to have been an overwhelming feeling that the change, as in the change of manager, came at the right time. Rightly or wrongly, I think Robbie Di Matteo perhaps had, I don't like to use the cliche, but perhaps it's prevalent in this instance in so much that maybe he did lose one or two of the players and they weren't performing as they should have been. And Roy seems to have harnessed them together. He's got a good team spirit going there. There's a lot of unity. We saw 2 players last week, James Morrison and Paul Shiner, both went off with head injuries. Of course, James Morrison carried on. There is that battle and that will. Abdullah Mate, who was a reserve until a few weeks ago, he was even, he sort of communication and leadership qualities were even underlined by Match of the Day, which I think 2 months ago none of us would have foreseen or expected. Such was his exile from the squad, and things are on the up in that respect. It's just going to be a case of keeping it very tight at the back and trying to do what they do well without losing that spark they have up front.
Okay, Chris. Well, thanks for your thoughts on West Brom today. We'll be back again next week with more Baggies View.